that Wilder should get the winner.
Don't look too much at the contracts because, look, Deontay Wilder has to be getting paid to step aside. And when you get step aside money, when you're next with a contract, it ain't $100 grand. It's $5-10 million. You know, so Deontay's getting money just for waiting. And believe me, if there's demand for Joshua Wilder, if Joshua were to be...
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, interesting. We had Stephen A.Smith, colorful sports analyst for ESPN. And we have colorful boxing analyst who also does and works for ESPN, and Max Kellermann. Max Kellermann is supposed to be the boxing pundit on ESPN. Stephen A. Smith, their co-host, okay? With that said, they started to debate the announcement of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua signed contracts. And Stephen A. Smith, he's saying that Deontay Wilder should get what's owed to him in the Trilogy match. He says now he's not appalled to him getting the winner of Joshua versus Fury, the first fight. He says, but he don't like the fact that they're going to have a 2-fight deal and Wilder have to sit on the sideline. So he said Deontay Wilder is owed the Trilogy match and he needs to get it. And Max Kellermann, he's debating. Max Kellermann is saying, well, nobody believes that Deontay Wilder is going to win the Trilogy, so nobody wants to see it. But Stephen A. Smith, his stance is, but he's contractually obligated to give him the Trilogy match. And everybody wants to write off Deontay Wilder as if he had multiple losses. We've seen guys take worse losses than we saw him lose to Tyson Fury. He says the first fight ended in a draw. And Stephen A. Smith, he says, we got to keep in mind, Deontay Wilder, he picked Tyson Fury up when Tyson Fury had nothing going on for himself. He was the one that dusted him off and gave him an opportunity and resurrected him in his career and gave him an opportunity. And now he's just going to be able to wiggle around, giving Deontay Wilder what he's due, what he's owed after Deontay Wilder lend him the favor and help pick him up and help dust himself off. And Max Kellermann is saying, no, you're right, but nobody believes he could win a Trilogy. So Stephen A. Smith said he talked to Deontay Wilder in private. He said he understands, Tyson Fury was 40 pounds heavier than him. He used his size, but the Trilogy match would be huge. And Max Kellermann is saying, well, he's still going to be 40 pounds heavier than Deontay Wilder in the Trilogy match. So nothing's going to change. Nobody wants to see a Trilogy match because nobody believes that Deontay Wilder is going to win in the Trilogy match. But Max Kellermann, he fails to mention that in the first fight, Tyson Fury was dropped 2 times in that fight and could have been knocked out. It should have been called a knockout. But popular, legendary referee, he decided that he wanted to give Tyson Fury every opportunity to rise up, right? So with that said, that should have been called a knockout. So we could have said the first fight ended in a knockout for Deontay Wilder, and the second fight ended in a stoppage victory for Tyson Fury, right? So Max Kellermann, he fails to mention that fact, okay? He acts like Tyson Fury just walked through Deontay Wilder the first fight. No, he's a slick boxer. He's very big, and he's very elusive. So yes, he had a lot of success in the first fight, pure boxing. But Deontay Wilder, as the referee Jack Reese, he stated, he thought Deontay Wilder was landing the bigger, cleaner punches, and he's the third man in the ring. He said he thought Deontay Wilder clearly won the first fight, okay? So Max Kellermann completely dismisses what took place in the first fight, and now he's saying what took place in the second fight, and nobody thinks he could be victorious. Thus the reason why everybody wants to see Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua. And then Max Kellermann, as you heard, he goes on to say Deontay Wilder is going to be taking step-aside money, $5 to $10 million. He's happy. He says, why is he complaining when he's going to get big money to take to sit on the sidelines? Well, if he was going to take step-aside money and sit on the sidelines, then why, Max Kellermann, would he go to mediation and go to arbitration? If Deontay Wilder planned on just taking step-aside money, why would he be pushing for the Trilogy match? Why would he go to mediation and arbitration? Why are they still in arbitration? That doesn't add up. So Max Kellerman obviously is making a case for Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, because that's the fight that they want to push. They don't want to push for Deontay Wilder trilogy match. And so Stephen A. Smith is saying, okay, let's say that is the case. Well, why are they agreeing to a 2-fight deal when Deontay Wilder was the champion? He should be automatically awarded the winner then, if that's the case. So Max Kellerman is saying, well, Deontay Wilder, he needs to regroup. He needs to get a victory and let us know that he's still the same guy. And so Stephen A. Smith, he's saying, well, what leads us to believe he's not the same guy after taking one loss? And Max Kellerman, he goes on to say, well, you know, Deontay Wilder is a bad man. He's one of the greatest heavyweights in all time. But we just need to see him get a victory to let us know he's still that bad man. Well, again, like I said, in the first fight, it should have ended in a knockout in favor of Deontay Wilder. But like I said, Jack Reese, he stated on record that he wanted to give Tyson Fury, who was a former world champion, every opportunity possible to get back on his feet. And that's not his job. His job was to do his job and wave the fight off because it should have been called a knockout. But nonetheless, Max Kellerman, he wants to dismiss that performance and act like the only performance that counted was the second performance. Well, yes, Tyson Fury did get the victory, but Deontay Wilder was the champion. And Deontay Wilder, he gave Tyson Fury an immediate rematch that Tyson Fury didn't accept. He chose to have 2 intimate fights and then go into the rematch with Deontay Wilder. But Deontay Wilder still gave him the opportunity. And now Tyson Fury doesn't want to repay him and give him the rematch. When Deontay Wilder was the champion, he lost 1 fight to Tyson Fury. And now Max Kellerman, who's supposed to be the boxing pundit, not Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman is saying that, well, nobody believes in the trilogy. Well, it doesn't matter what you believe in. It's what is right. He's contractually bound to give him the trilogy match. Doesn't matter if you believe Deontay Wilder could win the trilogy or not. The point of being is that he signed, that being Tyson Fury, to give Deontay Wilder the immediate trilogy match, which is the rematch in his case because he won, and have the trilogy match. Then you close the door and you move on. That's how you do business. That's called being fair, right? Doesn't matter, well, we saw you get wiped out the first time, so we don't want to see you in a trilogy match, although you're contractually bound to it. And then Max Kellerman, as you can hear, he says, don't pay attention to the contracts because there's money surfacing that essentially he's hinting at that you don't know about. He's saying, so don't pay attention. Don't look too far into the contracts because Deontay Wilder is going to take big money. And then he says, if Anthony Joshua wins, both agree that Deontay Wilder is going to beat Anthony Joshua, right? But they don't believe that Deontay Wilder could beat Tyson Fury. But in the same token, Max Kellerman is saying that this is a huge fight for Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. But you don't believe Deontay Wilder could beat Tyson Fury, but you don't believe that Anthony Joshua could beat Deontay Wilder. So the bigger fight would be Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder in the trilogy match. But Max Kellerman, he's stating, but they both hold rights to world championships. So due to the fact that it's for undisputed, is what makes it a bigger fight. But he says Deontay Wilder, 1 punch is going to knock out Anthony Joshua, and Stephen A. Smith agrees, or vice versa. But neither guy believes that Anthony Joshua could beat Deontay Wilder. And then he says that would be a super fight. If Anthony Joshua, get this, if Anthony Joshua beats Tyson Fury, then Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua would be an even bigger fight than Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. He says that would be a super fight. Well, how could that be a super fight if you're saying essentially the best fight in the world is Tyson Fury and you don't believe Deontay Wilder could beat him? So the super fight should be Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. No, Max Kellerman is saying this is the best fight to be made in combat sports, but the super fight would be Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua. So I'm confused. Deontay Wilder is still very, very relevant there. And then you believe that 1 punch can change anything. So you believe, as we saw, Tyson Fury hit the deck twice against Deontay Wilder. So you believe that Deontay Wilder could knock out Tyson Fury. But in the same token, you're saying that Anthony Joshua can't beat Deontay Wilder, but that's the super fight. So you see the agenda that's being pushed? Okay? The bottom line here is this, Max Kellerman, is that Deontay Wilder is contractually obligated, Tyson Fury is contractually obligated to give Deontay Wilder the trilogy match, and he should do what's right. As Stephen A.Smith stated, Deontay Wilder picked him up, dusted him off when he had nothing going on for himself, and gave him the opportunity, and he's supposed to return the favor. That's how you do business. That's how men stand on their square. You stand by your word. He signed the contract for the trilogy. Didn't matter how the rematch ended. Because if Deontay Wilder would have knocked out Tyson Fury in dramatic fashion in the second fight and was contractually obligated to give Tyson Fury the trilogy match, nobody would be screaming to see Tyson Fury not get his opportunity so we could see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua in the trilogy. Everybody will be screaming to see Tyson Fury get his opportunity as he's contractually obligated in his rights to have the trilogy match. But we understand what's taking place here. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Make sure y'all hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.